Hi there, fellow summoners. Today's video will teach you all about wave management and how you can abuse it to win more games. The very first thing we have to do is understand the basics of how creep waves work in League. Every 30 seconds, a new wave of minions spawns at both your and your enemy's nexus. This wave will always consist of 3 ranged and 3 melee minions. Now every third wave before 20 minutes adds a siege minion to that same wave, and between 20 and 35 minutes, a siege minion will appear after every 2 waves. After the 35th minute mark, siege minions will spawn with every wave to make the waves push faster. Now, why is this important? It's important because if a minion wave has a cannon minion and the other one doesn't, then the wave with the siege minion will almost definitely push. One final basic rule for you to remember is that waves will always mirror each other, so you don't have to guess where the enemy minion wave is or when it will be arriving. Just look at the minimap for your wave and you'll instantly know where the enemy wave should be at. Okay, basic understanding should be down. Now let's take a look at the 2 rules of wave management, and those are the even wave and uneven wave rules. The even minion wave rule states that whenever there is an even creep wave, whichever side of the map it is on will push to the opposite side. Let's take a look at these examples. These pictures are old, I know, but they will explain it perfectly. You might even have already seen them somewhere in other guides, as they are the perfect example. In this first picture, the minion waves are even, with the same number of minions on both sides. When they meet exactly in the middle, generally none of them will push. And if this happens to happen in the mid-game, not at the beginning, then it will usually be called a wave reset. Now, what the even minion wave rule suggests is that if the waves are even, but located more on one side of the map, such as this picture suggests, then the wave closest to their own tower will push. Why is that? Simple, actually. These 2 waves will keep fighting each other, but since they have the same numbers, none will destroy the other. This will be time enough for the reinforcement waves to arrive on both sides. The deal breaker is that the defending wave's reinforcements will arrive to the location of the fight just a little bit earlier and start attacking sooner, thus destroying some minions and taking no damage before the attacking wave's minions even have the time to arrive. This will cause a disadvantage and eventually make the former even waves uneven in numbers and forcing a push due to the numerical advantage. Sounds complicated? Well, it really isn't that hard to understand, but now comes the tricky part. The uneven minion wave rule states that the larger minion wave will always push when the following is true. 1. Any number of creep lead while the creep wave is on its own side. 2. Has +1 creep lead from the halfway point plus 2.5 seconds. 3. Has +2 creep lead from the halfway point plus 5 seconds. 4. Has +3 creep lead or +2 cannons from the halfway point plus 8 seconds. And a wave with a +4 creep lead will always push. It seems pretty obvious that the bigger wave will push, but remember what we learned from the even minion wave rule, and that the reinforcement wave's timings can affect a lot on who is going to be pushing. As for the conditions for this rule, this picture can give you a clearer understanding of what is meant with the seconds. Essentially, you need a certain specific creep lead for the reinforcement wave impact to be nullified and for your wave to keep pushing. Now that you've grasped the rules of wave management, the possibilities for what you can do with this knowledge are immense. I'll give you a few good ideas. Starting up with a very important topic lots of people claim to know about, but I've yet to see them put it in action, which is lane freezing. There's loads of videos on how to freeze a wave, but the basic concept of it is that you keep the minion waves fighting halfway between your tower and the lane's halfway point. Then position yourself in front of the wave last hitting, whilst preventing your opponent from farming or forcing him to fight you in a gankable position. If you have a clear understanding of how waves push and how to control that push, then you'll be able to easily deny CS from your lane opponent, rendering him completely useless at the end. Another good thing that comes from wave management is the ability to set up pushing waves to allow you to pick up 5v4 fights or control objectives such as Baron or Dragon. Say you're the top laner in a post 35 minute game. Baron is up for grabs, but the game is tied and you're not sure you'd win a team fight for it. Simple. Go down to the bot lane and have your teammates surround Baron and gain vision control. Kill the caster minions of the enemy wave as well as the cannon and start moving towards Baron. Bot will now push and force one of the enemies to show up bot and defend the tower, thus allowing you to partake in a 5v4 fight for Baron. Vision control and wave management are key factors in dominating the game's objectives. And speaking of those, 0 to 10, what's a wave? 20, understand the basics. 30, understand the even rule. 40, understand the uneven rule. 50, predict minions' movements. 60, set up a pushing wave. 70, freeze the lane. 80, force a 5v4 fight. 90, have waves take objectives. 100, create advantages from waves. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, then make it official by leaving that like. Subscribe if you're not already, since now's a great time to do so. I'll be uploading 3 videos a week, and you really don't want to miss those. Sakeios out.